Members, good morning. We will start the election for the chairman of the panel on development for 2015-16. May I remind members that under arrow P77(6), if you are a member or a chairman or vice chairman of a related advisory body of the government, then you cannot be either the chairman or deputy chairman of this panel. Under arrow P77(7), a member may not be the chairman or deputy chairman of more than one panel. According to our House Rule number 22 and also Appendix 4, I invite members to nominate candidates for the chairmanship. A valid nomination must be made verbally by one member to be seconded by another and accepted by the candidate concerned. Mr. Lowcock, I nominate Chair Wai Chun. Any seconder, Mr. Chen Kam Chim. Since I've been nominated and I've also accepted it, then in accordance with the election rules, I would defer to Mr. Lau Wong Fat, the deputy chairman, to take the chair. But Mr. Lau is absent today, so I will invite Mr. Albert Ho, who is the first on the president's list, to take the chair. Mr. Albert Ho, please.
Okay.
All right. Any other nominations? Professor Kenneth Chen, I nominate Mr. Alan Leung. Any seconder? Mr. Albert Chen seconds. Ms. Ellen Chen. Gerald Leung, do you accept? I do. Any more nominations, please? The third nomination? No, then we proceed to the balloting. Members, please hand out the ballot papers. After you have filled out the ballot papers, I will declare that the balloting procedures have closed and no more ballot papers will be distributed. And you have to personally put the ballot paper into the ballot box.
大家睇到啦，1號係謝偉銓議員，2號係梁家傑議員。就不記名題。
This is a secret ballot, so there's no need for you to show your ballot paper to anybody, and there's no need to fold up the ballot paper. If you have completed the ballot paper, I declare the balloting process closed. Please do not distribute any more ballot papers. I will now ask our staff to collect the ballot papers. Please put it into the box personally. We have distributed 23 ballot papers in total.
OK， 請正話兩位。
Can the two seconders please come out to supervise the ballot counting? Mr. Loy Kwok and also Professor Kenneth Chen. Please count the total number of ballot papers received.
收返23票。
23 ballot papers collected. Please do the counting now. And read out the names, please. Number one. Number one. Number two. Number one. Number one. Number one. Number one. Number one. Number two.
Yellow.
Number one. 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 Number two. Number two. Number two. Number two. Number one. Number two. No need to do the counting again. Mr. Tony Z, 16 votes. Mr. Alan Leung, 7 votes. Mr. Tony Z elected. So, Mr. Z, please take the chair. Thank you very much for your support. Now we proceed to the election of the Deputy Chairman for this panel in 2015-16. Again, a valid nomination must be made by a member orally to be seconded by at least one member. It has to be accepted by the member nominated. Nominations, please. Mr. Chang Hak-ken, I nominate Mr. Leung Chi-chung. Any seconder? Mr. Loy Kwok. Mr. Leung Chi-chung, do you accept? I do, Chairman. Any other nominations, please? Professor Kenneth Chen, I nominate Mr. Alan Leung. Any seconder, please? Mr. Albert Chen. Mr. Albert Ho. Do you accept the nomination, Mr. Leung? I do. Any other nominations, please? If there are no other nominations, I declare that we proceed to a secret ballot. Staff, please hand out the ballot papers to members present, and also chop with a tick. According to our House rules, each candidate will be allocated an election number on the basis of the order of nomination. So please affix the seal next to the member you prefer. Number 1 is Mr. Leung Chi-Chan. Number 2, Mr. Alan Leung. Since this is a secret ballot, there is no need for you to show the ballot paper to any other person, and there is no need to fold up the ballot paper. Have you all got a ballot paper? According to our staff, 23 ballot papers have been handed out. If you have completed the ballot paper, I declare the ballot closed. No more ballot papers may be issued by our staff, and our staff can start to collect the completed ballot papers. Members must put your ballot papers into the box personally. Before so doing, please do not leave your seat. Mr. Gary Chen and Professor Kenneth Chen, please come out to supervise the ballot counting.
該兩位。
23 ballot papers collected, the same number as those distributed. We'll now start the counting of votes. Secretary, please read out the numbers. Number 1.
2號
Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1.
Number
1.
Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 1. Number 2. Number 1. Number 1. Number 2. Number 1. Number 2. Number 1. Number 2. Number 2. Number 2. Number 2. You'd like us to count again? Yes, please do. $15 and $8. Number 1, Mr. Leung Chi Chang, got 15 votes. Number 2, Mr. Alan Leung, got 8 votes. I declare Mr. Leung Chi Chang elected Vice Chairman of the Panel on Development for this year. Congratulations to Mr. Leung Chi Chang. All the ballot papers will be destroyed after the meeting under the supervision of the Secretary. Now we go into item 2 of the agenda. Members, please let us fix the meeting dates for the year. In the last legislative year, the panel fixed the 4th Tuesday of every month to hold our regular meetings, and also at 2:30 p.m. on that day. If members do not disagree, we can have the same arrangement for this year. Please take a look at the proposed timetable for meetings for the year tabled for members' information.
就另外咧，就想同委員講咧，就
Also like to say to members that the meeting fixed for the 22nd of December could actually be moved to 9 a.m. because that is the winter solstice day. If you do not have other comments or objections, we will have our regular meetings according to this timetable. Yes? Can we have the meeting at 2 p.m.? Let's do this. Now, because of time constraint, after the meeting, members can still comment on the proposed timetable. We will still hold a meeting on the 22nd of December, and we will try to accommodate the biggest number of members. It is not possible sometimes for us to accommodate all members at every meeting. Also, I'd like to say that I won't be in Hong Kong on the 27th of October. I will discuss with the Vice Chairman to see whether there will be any changes to meeting arrangements, and we will circulate the result of our discussion for you to comment. But in principle, we'll go by this timetable to hold our regular meetings. Now, item 3 on the agenda. Members, please look at the list of outstanding items for discussion, and that is in Appendix V of CB bracket 16/15 to 16. The administration has proposed these items for discussion, and for October, the administration proposed 2 items. 1, planning and engineering study for Tuen Mun areas 40 and 46 and the adjoining areas, stage 1 community engagement. Number 2, review of landslip prevention and mitigation program. Members, would you like to propose anything else? Mr. Albert Chan. The development panel and other panels should take a look at bidding prices and what will be the expected aggregate amount in terms of expenditure on capital works for the year. And I'd like them also to take a look for the same item for the next 2 years, because I think bidding prices have fallen recently. Sure, we can follow up the issue with the administration. Ms. Alice Mack. Chairman, I actually proposed an item on supply of potable water for remote villages, but there has not been any follow-up. Like those in Hong Shui Kiu and Po Toi Island, there are remote villages which still do not have supply of potable or clean water. I hope you can bring this up with the administration to find a date for early discussion. Mr. Kenneth Chan, during the summer, we have been concerned, of course, about conservation and risk management of trees. Trees are under the development panel. I think the panel or the Bureau should respond to our concerns and come back to talk about the possible making of legislation on tree management and also on risk management and conservation of trees on private land. We'd like to know what the administration has in mind, and without a tree management legislation, how we can help people manage their trees in private premises. Mr. Michael Tian. Chairman, I'd like to raise a few items for discussion. The most important one is the new development area in Hong Shui Kiu. You have not been dealing with overcrowding on the West Rail. We must take this up with the Transport and Housing Bureau, and I think we should have a joint panel meeting to take up this matter. If this is not resolved, no matter what you talk about by way of developing Hong Shui Kiu, it's not going to work. And also the cycle track. I think the biggest obstacle is at Shenzhen. They have been consulting people, but I don't know what the administration has in mind. And also, next to Yoho Midtown in Yuen Long, there is a site which is zoned recreation or open space. But now it has been lying in waste, and people are using it as a live fish wholesale market, and people are crying foul. And at 3 a.m., 4 a.m., lorries begin to come in, but the area is in huge shortage of open space. Okay, those 3 items. First of all, Hong Shui Kiu, you must be aware that in the last year, actually, it was not too long ago that there was a public hearing that we held. Different parties have mentioned the issue of transport, which is also the concern of Mr. Michael Tian. Later on, when the transport panel has elected a chairman, I can talk to the transport panel. And as Mr. Tian said, this might have something to do with the transport panel as well, and we can make certain arrangements. As for the other 2 items, the cycle track, we have discussed it in the last year. If you want to seek a better understanding of a certain section of the cycle track, we can certainly follow up with government departments. As for the site in Yuen Long, I think it has to do with the overall planning of the area. We can look at it in a broader context. Sorry, Mr. Tian is not coming through to interpreters. We can look at this as a matter of policy if there has not been any long-term planning for that particular site yet. If you have so many views, maybe we can extend the meeting time for this meeting. What about the next meeting? Okay, we have to proceed as quickly as possible. There are 6 more members who would like to make comments. Ms. Helena Wong. Chairman, I am a new member to this panel, but we are all very concerned about lead-contaminated water. I hope we can ask the WSD and the Water Resources Committee to come here and talk to us about possible review of the relevant legislation. And the clerk can be asked to help us arrange a visit maybe to Germany and where people do a good job with water safety. Well, we have to discuss it next time because we have been talking about making a visit to look at desalination. But well, actually, we also talked about water resources. No, I'm really talking about water safety. I understand water resources to include water safety. Well, we have had a water resources committee, but our water is not safe. And also, I have not finished. I'd like to talk about monitoring the source of contamination of Dongjiang water. And number 3, moving and land supply for wholesale markets. You mean all wholesale markets, especially the one in Chengsha, the poultry wholesale market. It has been a temporary market for 40 years, but it has not been moved. The district council has asked it for it to be moved, but we need a site. And also the Yaomate fruit wholesale market. Number 4, actually, urban renewal strategy and review of the jurisdiction of the URA. We should invite the URA to come. We have heard that after Iris left, the morale is quite bad. And lastly, the Hong Kong Standard, Hong Kong Planning Standard and Guidelines, and also the improving waterfront arrangements. Mr. Leung Chi-Chang, I'd like to talk about flooding at villages. We have discussed it before, but we have not been able to resolve the problem, especially with regard to title or land ownership of private land. I hope there can be a review done by the administration. Number 2, compensation and rehousing arrangements for land resumption and clearance. It seems the development panel has not any intention to do a review. They are tackling the matter on a case-by-case basis. People who are affected have strong views about this. I hope we can discuss this matter here. Next, Mr. K.K. Kwok. Thank you, Chairman. I'd like to reiterate 2 items mentioned by members. Mr. Kenneth Chan mentioned trees. I'd like to ask deputations to come and comment on it. I'm sure many green groups and community groups would like to express their views. Number 2, water. I have moved a motion on it, and I think it is now time for us to invite administration and deputations and also academics to come to us to talk about legislating for safe water. And also there is another one, village houses. You remember Mrs. Carrie Lam did a lot to require the demolition of UBWs at village houses, but I think this matter has stagnated. There has not been any follow-up. I hope we can ask the administration to come back to make a report, and that is what it intends to do, what it has done, and what it will do with regard to the flouting of laws by village houses.
Next, Mr. Albert Ho. Recently, the Revenue of Stars and its revitalization project has given rise to a lot of controversies. I'm not going to comment on that because there may be a lawsuit on it. Now, I'd like to understand more about public-private sector participation and also tendering. And recently, the government has launched a partnership scheme where no open tenders are required. So I'd like to ask the administration to clarify for us. All right, I will see whether it is a matter for the HA panel or the development panel. I'll follow up on that. When we discuss this topic, please ask the administration for the number of similar programs we have. I know that in Taiku and also and China Resources, I think there are similar arrangements. So do ask the administration about the number of similar programs in place. Professor Kenneth Chen. The waterfront issue, of course, the Avenue of Stars is an issue. Should it be a subject for the Economics Affairs panel or the Development panel or the HA panel? I think we have to trouble you, Chairman, to find out which panel should be responsible. Perhaps we have to hold a joint panel meeting. And during the summer recess, a public engagement exercise was done on planning of the waterfront from North Point to Wan Chai. And some members asked, what about the western part of the territory, Kennedy Town and the Western District, and also areas outside of Victoria Harbour? Shouldn't there be some guidelines for the development of the waterfront? The waterfront should not be just for building developments. So would like to discuss with the administration on principles and thinking about the planning of our waterfront. Can harbourfront at different parts of the territory follow the same procedures we are doing for the eastern part of the island? All right, further comments? If not, I will discuss with the Development Bureau matters members have raised, and I'll see what the arrangements will be. And please invite the Harbourfront Commission to give us a briefing. I think the last time was already 2 years ago. Well, some time ago anyway, not necessarily 2 years. It doesn't matter. I will discuss with the Bureau again the relevant arrangements. If there are no further comments, item 4 AOB. In between 2013 and 2012 and 2012, we agree to set up a joint subcommittee meeting with the Home Affairs Bureau on monitoring of the WKCD. The subcommittee has yet to complete its work. If members are agreeable, the Secretariat will issue a notice to all members to invite members to join the subcommittee. As for incumbent members of the subcommittee, if you have not written any intention to resign from the subcommittee, you continue to be a member of the subcommittee. And then at the first meeting of the subcommittee for this year, it will decide whether the chairman and deputy chairman will have to be re-elected. Ms. Helena Wong, please add me to the subcommittee. Previously, I joined under the HA panel. We will issue a fresh notice for everyone. Okay, if there are no other AOP items, thank you very much for your attendance. The meeting is adjourned.